Well, good evening, folks. Mike Fuji taking the show over tonight. Angel is on assignment, filling in for our front man tonight. It is episode 141. We got Chris Scott Jr. from the Greater Philadelphia Flag Football League. Phil's 7 in a row, getting this hot streak going without Joe Girardi. This is episode 141. Mike Fuji, this is Broad Street South. Well, happy Friday Eve, folks. I hope everybody's having a good night. Good day in Philly today. Phil's pulling off win number 7, sweeping the Angels, sweeping the Brewers. Congratulations, all graduates, high school, college, elementary school. Tonight, we have our guest, Chris Scott Jr., once again, from the Greater Philadelphia Flag Football League, who's waiting in the green room. I have my colleague from the cheap seats who's got away from Bob Euchre. He's coming down to the front row here. Let's welcome our national correspondent, Ryan Neff.
I'm Ryan Neff. It's great to be with you this evening. Fuji, you seem a little bit nervous. A little bit.
Nah, I'm not nervous. I'm good. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. We got Chris Scott on tonight. Pick his brain about certain stuff. Obviously, the Phillies on a hot streak since the firing of Joe Girardi. Not sure that's going to last, but I'm sure Phillies fans are rejoicing with this winning streak.
Well, 7 in a row, and it's baseball. It's a long season.
Yep.
Well, tonight we'd like to bring in from the green room Chris Scott Jr. from the Greater Philadelphia Flag Football League.
What's up?
Hey, Chris, welcome tonight. How you doing?
I'm feeling good. Listen, ring the bell, guys. Ring the bell.
As they have that thing called rings crossed out, it says smash the bell instead.
Smash the bell.
Bryce Harper just playing, MV3, just leading this team, with that fire. He's the GM right there calling all the shots.
Yeah, they're playing on, like you said, 7 in a row after got rid of Joe. And don't listen to Ryan. Let's just ride the win streak. We don't have to worry about the rest of the season.
That's the ring chaser. He's anti-Philly.
Here we go.
Shots are always fired around here. So, Chris, let's get into the Greater Philadelphia Flag League. As it is Pride Month. I know we talked a couple days ago about the Philadelphia team heading to Chicago this weekend for the championship game. That's great. Could you dive into a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have our travel team, the Philadelphia Revolution, along with our women's plus team, the Philadelphia Lightning. We're getting ready for Chicago. It's Pride Bowl. So every year, the National League, the NGFFL, there's 3 tournaments, one in Fort Lauderdale. There's one in Chicago, and then there's Gay Bowl in around Columbus Day weekend. That changes every city. But at the end of this month, we're getting ready for Chicago, defend our championship trophy against other cities around the nation. And it's always a good time. I mean, we're talking 60 teams, a ton of athletes getting together for community and great football. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. As far as the Greater Flag Football League, could you just tell us how it got started in the inception and how you actually got involved in it?
Yeah, it started in 2009 up in Northeast Philly. A couple of guys got together, wanted to run some ball. So they decided to do flag football. And here we are in 2022. The league has grown to about 60 or 70 players. And we're wrapping up our spring season this coming Saturday, if the weather holds out. And it's just been an amazing community of genuine love and acceptance for people that are genuinely passionate about football. Everything else aside, we're just ball players. And the cool thing that this season was the first time we introduced our Women's Plus League. So primarily we have our co-ed league, but now, those that identify as women or non-binary or transgender, get to play in a different league. And dude, when I tell you this community is so fulfilling and so giving, when we, on the field, we want to annihilate each other. But when we come off the field and start having a couple of beers together and telling our stories and just so appreciative that we can just be.
Right.
and we know how crazy the world is when you're the other. But when you have a passion for football, you just want to play ball. You just want to play
Right.
ball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chris, go ahead, Fuj.
Okay. Go ahead, Ron.
Gonna say, Chris, I was gonna touch upon the community aspect of it. I mean, the guys know that over the last 9 months I've gone through stuff, and I've had to get myself into a community who understands what I'm going through, that understands the trials and tribulations. And if you don't surround your people, or you don't surround yourself with those kind of people, nobody's really going to get it. Can you talk about the sense of community that surrounds the league?
Yeah, and that's a good question. It's like you said. I know when I became commissioner back in 2018, the thing I wanted to focus on was community first and then competition second. Especially, us in the LGBT community, we have a lot of horror stories, unfortunately, with a lot of narrow-minded people or family members. And it's like you said, Ryan, you just want to find community, people who understand what you're going through, but more importantly, where you could just be. You don't have to pretend to be a certain way or like a certain person or look a certain um, aesthetic. You just want to play football. And so what we do, literally, we take people who have never played a down in their lives. And, we have skills days and train them up on how to be competitive and safe on the field. But we put as more energy and effort into building football players as we do into building community, into building, healthy relationships. So that was very top of my list when I became commissioner. And it's worked out so well. When you hear some of these stories where people, they say, like you said, I finally found a place where I feel like I belong. And for us as an adult league, when you're 30, 35 years old and you're just finding that place, there's a huge, huge sigh of relief and a huge monkey off your back. And it's a good feeling to feel like, you're belonging.
Chris,
Yeah.
as far as actually, when did this league start? I mean, nationwide, I know you have a lot of cities that have the flag football league. Can you tell us when it got started
I know the
originally?
I know the Philly League started in 2009. I don't know when the National League started. But Fuji, when I tell you, when we go to these tournaments, we're talking Austin, we're talking Dallas, we're talking Boston, Chicago, Seattle, Hawaii has a league. We
Oh,
actually have
yeah.
a tournament in October in Hawaii, which is
Yeah,
so cool. Yeah,
I
and it's
saw on
just
your
like,
website you have Honolulu actually as
yeah,
a league, which is that's a hey that's must be pretty nice going out there, to play some football and taking all the ambiance of Hawaii.
it's
I
gonna
know I'm
it's
sure
gonna be
that could be a little
incredible.
expensive, but
A little, yes, it's going to be a lot expensive. But
right,
the cool thing over the years, we've seen like NFL teams buy in and become major sponsors. I know the Seattle Seahawks, the Atlanta Falcons, the New England Patriots, they're buying into their local leagues. We're waiting for the Eagles to step up.
right.
But until then, it's great to get national recognition for our league and our players.
I recall when you were on the first time, you did mention a couple of those NFL teams.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Eagles, how much they're involved in the community with everything from A to
Hmm.
Z. I'm sure it'll be, you know,
Yeah, and we've had a couple conversations. They've donated a bunch of supplies to us,
right.
like new flags and new footballs, and we've been able to extend our outreach. Literally last Friday, we were able to host a skills camp at a local high school here in the
Ah,
city.
nice.
They had a pride festival for the first time, and I mean, you talk about adults having issues when you have young people already feeling like they're being ostracized.
Right.
It just touches you in a different way when you'll be able to just look at them and say, "I see you." I see the person that you are, the person that you identify as. You want to play football? I want to play football. Let's just play football. Everything else,
Right.
let's put aside for the next 2 hours and let's just ball out.
As far as the spring league, there also is the fall league, correct?
It is the fall league. You already. I'm trying to get you the spring league, and you're already asking. Yeah, the spring. So usually we have a more pickup style, more loose style for the spring, and fall is our more robust, more organized season. But we
Right.
had such a huge turnout for last fall that we wanted to build on that momentum in the spring. So we play. I think I told you this before. We played down at Marconi Plaza on 13th and Oregon on Saturday afternoons now. And whether raining or I think a couple weeks ago it was like 90 plus degrees. It was really really hot. but this Saturday is our playoffs, and hopefully my team will be repeating as champions. There's some activity going outside. Sorry about that.
Nice. Hey, that'd be always.
Hey,
There's that, Ryan.
Chris, I was just going to say, now that everything seems to be getting back to normal, we're still in the pandemic, but it seems we're on the trends of a post-pandemic. Can you sort of expand upon how it affected you, the league? I don't know, when the pandemic started, a lot of people had to isolate. They were alone. They couldn't do the things they wanted to do. Did you bump into any problems with that going on?
Oh yeah, it's interesting. We'll say the hard shutdown happened around mid-March. I remember just watching ESPN, and that's when they canceled all the NBA games, and that's when I knew we were dealing with something serious. But in February, we had a new board because our football league has a board with board members. A really, really great meeting of future events, future planning, but more importantly, we had a couple major sponsors that was ready to buy in that would have really uplifted us to the next scale of an organization. But once that pandemic happened, people started counting their dollars differently and put the relationship on hold, I'll say, because we're going to circle back to them. And then we just had to figure out, how do we keep this community going where we're not physically together? So we started doing outdoor clinics, socially distanced, or like everyone, Zoom game nights or something like that. We just had to get creative. But what it did allow us to do is to continue to market and advertise our league, because when we came back, we had a bunch of at least 50 new people, that was interested in our league and wanting to be part of it, that now are like a vital part of our league, part of the leadership team.
And when you started on the journey with the league, from the beginning to where you are now, can you tell me how much it changed you or the confidence that you gained?
Honestly, yes. I could be totally transparent. I learned about the league. I went to my first Pride event in 2016, and I was closeted at the time, didn't really want to do too much. And they had this vendor table set up, about this flag football league. Now, I grew up in Philly and I never heard of this league. So I signed up. I remember it was July 14th when I first went to like a tryout or something like that. And I just knew I wanted to be part of this community. Now, did I know I want to be commissioner? No, absolutely not. But from there, speaking to people and hearing their stories and the importance of the league, it made me want to elevate my role from player to leadership, and allowing other people to come in to be part of the community and to feel the same love and support that I felt. But the biggest thing for me last year, one of our players who was employed by the Eagles at the time wrote this beautiful article on the Philadelphia Eagles website. And you can search on the website. It's called Gridiron Gang. And it just talks about the origin of our league, how we're going forward. But for me, it was the first time that my name was publicly attached to gay Black male. And like the level of trepidation in my heart was just like, it's official now, we're really out there. And with that level of exposure, obviously comes a lot of stupid people, but more importantly, it came a lot of people, looking for that voice. So I was so proud of us for, getting the word out there.
Chris, as far as the flag football league being nationwide, or is it possibly it's worldwide, or is that something that there's no?
I say North America. We have teams from Toronto that come to these tournaments, and they're the most boisterous bunch of players I've ever played. Like, they're just so loud and so enthusiastic. I definitely think it's growing, Fooch. Like, I know next year our tournament will be in Toronto, and as it gains more traction, I don't see why it can't be worldwide. I know that at 36, I don't want anybody tackling me for free. So throwing some flags, that's what we're going to do. So I'm anxious to see how the league continue to grow, especially here in our city.
How many members are in the league?
At our peak, I think we were up to 120, and then a change in leadership happened, and now I think we're down to like 75. But in 2019, before the pandemic, we were about 50. So it's climbing back up, and this time we're being, like Ryan said, we're being more, having more intent, with the type of players that we're attracting and the type of community that we want to build.
Is there also a softball league?
They're the softball league. I'm a player, I'm not in the leadership.
No.
CBSL. And I mean, you talk about community, they got the game on lock. They are just
Right.
huge. And it's a dream
Those-
of mine to be as big as the
Mhm.
softball league. But it's wild. It's wild.
Because I used to be a ringer for a law firm in Center City, and I knew a couple guys that played in. I believe the league was out in Fairmount Park.
It's
I'm
still
not
there.
sure if it's still there, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just recall, being
So, yeah,
around. That's probably 20 years ago at least.
and it's still going. So my Saturdays are designated for football, and then softball is on Sundays. So Monday is the ice bath day. That's what I call it.
That's
So,
rest those old
so,
war wounds. Now,
it's
as
ice
far as
baths all
football,
over.
football, I mean, does that really get like intense with the game, or is it just
Ooh, yeah, it
yeah,
does. It does. And that's the best part of competition. You bring it in, both on a local and a national level, it's something crazy fierce. With love, our competition has always been, like Detroit or Atlanta, talking a lot of smack,
right?
and we got to run up the score on them and let them know that, it's Philly. Um,
Is
but at the end, it's, we come back together, we hug it
right?
out, we have a couple beers, but yes, on the field, it gets crazy, it gets
Is,
chippy,
is
it gets intense.
is there any rivalries like the Eagles and the Cowboys? But at the end of the
Oh
day,
yeah, Boston.
no,
Anytime we
just
line
no
up,
love lost.
yes.
The way
Anytime
we
we line up
like it
against
here in
Boston.
Philly.
Yes. But
Chris, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't know you finished.
no, I would just say Boston, anytime, and Detroit. One time we played Detroit in this sweltering heat of Florida in this triple overtime game, and I mean doubled over. But we won, but it cost us. It cost us.
Where, since you're the committee, where do you envision the league going from here?
Whew. Right now we have about 5 teams. I'm thinking at least 10. When I look at our partners down in DC or New York, they have a waiting list. If their registration is open at 12:30, by 1:30 you're on the waiting list, and that's what I want for Philly. But definitely growth, but also more community events. Whether it's something as simple as cleaning up the park that we're playing in, or having organized drills for community members, or something like that across the board. Um, and like Ryan, I don't think there's anything we can't do. Honestly,
Mhm.
with our leadership and our commitment, I don't think there's anything we can't do here in the city.
Right. Now, as far as I don't want to pick your brain like during the whole league, but how's it come down to the scheduling? I mean, if you got to travel to Detroit or go up to Boston or go out to
Yeah.
Denver, Dallas, how
So
did
the cool thing is like we have the local league,
right?
and that's just we stay in South Philly. The travel team only travels 3 times a year.
Oh, okay.
So it's designated in February, we're always in Fort Lauderdale. In June, we're always in Chicago. In October, we're lucky enough to change cities every year. We played in Denver
Okay.
and Boston and Seattle. And so luckily, I don't have to come up with a travel schedule because that would
Right.
be
So
like,
it's not like an NFL schedule where you're
no, God,
going
no.
from city to city. Or
Who's
Chris,
paying
I
for
was
those
reading an
flights?
article from 2016 when you started getting involved, and here it is, quote, "Oh crap, there are others like me," and then quote unquote, "It was a culture shock for me. Everybody is so nice for no reason at all. That's where." Can you expand upon that?
Yeah, it's like you put up the article. That's cool. Um, you know what? So I'll tell you the story like this. The first time I went down south for work, I was walking down the street and people were saying good morning for no reason. Like up northeast, we
right.
don't do that. It's very weird. So when I got to the league and everybody being so nice and friendly, I'm like, all right, what do you want from me? Like, where's this level of genuine friendship coming from? It was, especially being a person of color, it's adds another layer of complexity being in this community. So when I was looking around and I just was like, I don't have to have my head on a swivel. I can breathe a little bit easier. It was such a foreign feeling at 27, 28 years old. Um, and I was like, this is all new. I'm not used to being comfortable, which is a statement unto itself. So it was Yeah, I remember feeling that way definitely. And I remember after the first game, like the little boy. I mean, I called my mom. I was like, "Guess what? I just found my computer." Uh,
Nice.
but it was a good feeling.
Chris, can you? I mean, anybody can obviously join the league.
Yeah,
Could you
yeah.
touch on where they could? The
So yeah,
website.
we are PhillyFlagFootball.com or on all our social medias at PHL Flag Football. And food, just like I said, it's a super inclusive league. Like if you identify as anything, we welcome you. The
Right.
league, I would honestly say, would not exist without our straight allies. They're a vital part of our leadership, a vital part of our league, and they genuinely want to be there. And to talk about being shocked to be side by side with LGBTQIA plus and our allies, just ready to run up the score on some people was just fulfilling. We're here with the same mission and the same goal, and we genuinely have community and love with one another. Um, it was refreshing. You know.
Right. As far as June being Pride Month, can you touch on possibly any events going on
Yeah,
throughout the rest
this
of
week.
the remainder of the month?
Yeah, this past weekend was Pride. We were down in Center City. We had to, so it was a full circle moment for me. This is my last year as commissioner, so we were able to set up the exact same table and vendor booth that I saw back in
Oh, okay.
2016, and to see the same joy and excitement as people were signing up the league that I had back in 2016. It was like full circle. So when I'm riding off into the sunset, I know I did my part uh,
Right.
to spread the word and to invite people. But yeah, as far as events, we are out in Marconi this Saturday. Next weekend on June 18th, we're having our closing party. It's going to be dope. We haven't identified a location just yet,
Right.
but it'll show up on our social media. And throughout the summer, we're going to have a bunch of events and open forum for everyone and everything.
As far as just to go back a little, you said this is it for you as commissioner, or
Yeah,
for
you
football.
get 2 2-year terms.
That's it.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and both times I ran unopposed. So I
Mm.
don't know if that was because they knew they would get annihilated in the votes or because they knew better than I did as far as the level of responsibility with the job. But we're already grooming our next commissioner and our next assistant commissioner, and they're just gonna the baton passes on. This is going to be a marathon. I'm still going to be in the background doing what I can, but in official capacity, this is my last year as commissioner.
Is
Wow.
it Howie? Is it Howie Roseman?
Listen, with the draft that he had, I'm Team Howie right now. I'm Team Howie
Me
right
too.
now. Yeah.
As now I put my differences aside, and
Yes.
I extended the olive branch for the time being.
So
There's
let me
still
ask you, Fuj, when did you buy in? What was the move that got it for you?
Don't get him
well,
started. Don't get him
as
started.
I'm fine. I'm level headed. I'm not no steam's coming out of my head or my ears. I go to the draft party every year down the link. It's like a
Okay.
tradition. I've been probably gone well over 10 years. I mean, I was down at the art museum in 17, of course. I was I was pretty much in on Jordan Davis the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'll say this, when he gave up, what was it, the first, the third, and 2/5, if I'm right. Don't hold me to it, but I was like, just to move up 2 spots, I was like, damn, you gave up a lot just to go 2 spots from, what was it, the 16th pick, whatever they got from
I
New
think so. Yeah.
Orleans. I know it was, yeah, but then he was on the clock, and all of a sudden you hear he traded the first and the third pick
Mm-hmm.
for AJ Brown. I mean, I was a couple sheets to the win, and I could say in one of my videos where I was just losing it. I was like, Howie's the man. He pulled it off.
Yeah.
I was like losing. I'm sure it's on Facebook going back to draft.
Oh, we gotta look for that. How do you like
No,
Nakobe Dean in the third round?
it was a steal.
It was definitely a steal.
I mean, the rumors of the Kobe Dean being injured, but finally he got a linebacker. Eagles, well, basically you got 2 first-round picks with a first and a third.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the last time he drafted a first-round pick, potential first round, was Sidney Jones in the second round back in 2017.
The best thing about Sidney Jones was the parody that Joe Conklin made about him. He wasn't a great player. But I'm the sleeper pick for me was wasn't it Cameron Jurgens? That's going to be our replacement center.
Yeah, the second-round pick.
Yeah.
Forget where he came from, but Kelsey helped out with that too. I mean, they told him to do some homework, and you know what's great. I mean, Connor Barwin just got some front off promoted to player personnel somewhere. I forget the exact title, but it's good that they're bringing back some of the old veterans. I wish they'd kind of go back, bring in some of the old alumni as well, but. They're keeping it in-house. Darren Sproles last year they hired. Connor Barwin last year getting promoted this year. Kelsey, I'm sure Kelsey will have a job waiting for him in the front office, next year whenever he decides to step away or take some time and come back. But, Eagles are doing great things right now. I know the article that Marcus Hayes came out with about 2 weeks ago about, Jeff Lurie pulling back and let Howie take the reins.
Yeah.
Of course, we had Dave Spadaro on 2 weeks ago from the night, and he really wouldn't. He wouldn't give up any of the tapes on that, which, hey, that's his job. But
I'm actually flying out to the Texans game. I'm mad it's a Thursday night. That's the thing that really tripped me up. Yeah, it really tripped me up. But it's gonna be fun.
Are you going with our sponsor with Philly Sports Trips?
Not to that game. I think I'm going with you guys to what do they call the Washington Commanders now or something like that?
The Columbia University.
Are you going with Philly Sports Trips?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one I signed up with.
So you're already booked. I gotta
September 25th.
Chris, our fearless leader, Angel Martinez, has a question. Now, as with anything, people don't understand certain things and what they don't know. So he is asking the question, do you guys ever get any hate mail because of the league status?
For sure. Yeah. When the Philadelphia Eagles article came out, I personally got some interesting letters. It just amazes me the level of ignorance that people still hold in their hearts. But there's an old saying that if people aren't coming for you, then you're not doing something right. Anytime you make people feel uncomfortable, there's going to be some blowback. And there's a discipline in me that doesn't allow me to respond the way that I want to. Mm-hmm. But and it just comes with the territory. But when I tell you, for every one of those we get 5 of people being super appreciative that the league exists, even if they can't play in it, they just like to know that there's representation out there.
Let me expand.
And that's what I focus on.
Yeah, let me expand upon that a little bit further. Mm-hmm. Pre-football league, Chris Scott Jr. to post-football league, Chris Scott Jr. Expand.
It would be an invitation to meet me somewhere to back up your words. But now the invitation is meet me on the football field. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of people that I'll line up with. You could bring your people, and then we'll just play ball. And then you'll see, if your ignorance in your mind can match the physicality on the field that we have. Right. We have a great group of people, and if you're offended by people just living their lives and being happy, there's something miserable and small-minded about you. But every so often, old Chris does come out, so the invitation still stands to some of y'all. So
I've often said that it's easier for people to walk away from what they don't understand than to sit there and try and understand. So.
Yes, and if they don't choose to walk away, they could be carried away. But I'll just leave it there.
From over the middle.
Exactly.
2004 NFC Championship game. Brian Dawkins, Algie Crumpler. Yep. Boom.
or Brian
set the
Dawkins,
tone
Michael
for the
Vick.
game, and the
Yes,
Birds took
exactly.
over.
No, I'm glad you asked that question because it's something I had to get used to. I'll say that it is something I had to get used to with this level of exposure. But finally being comfortable with who I am in the space that I walk in, it just comes with the territory. But there's way, way, way more people willing to fight than to be bullied in a sense by, like I said, small-minded people.
Sorry, I just got caught out on them. Must have been an internet issue.
Got a call from Howie.
That's what.
Got a call.
Hey, he's loving the props I'm giving him.
That's what it was. He wants you to keep it going.
Hey,
or he was talking to Brady.
Thank him. He took the olive branch that he got at the NovaCare. Anyway, let's switch a little gears and talk a little Philly sports. Now that we dove in with the Eagles, and OTA's just ending, and it seems like it's practice, it's OTAs, everybody's getting a little gaga, which they're saying Jalen Hurts is slinging that ball. Actually, I think was it Quez Watkins that burned James Bradbury yesterday for like a 40-yard bomb, I believe, that was reported. So, he went out to California, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. Was a guy named Tom Houseman, that he was working with out there with Brady.
The quarterback guru?
Yeah.
And then, according to Nick Sirianni, he, it just says Jalen Hurts' arm looks a lot stronger, apparently, than it did last year.
I always find those videos interesting because it's like when Ben Simmons used to post those videos in the gym.
Right.
Like, okay, it's great. You're not being guarded or defended. But I think Hurts is going to come back and have a great year. He has the weapons, the signing of A.J. Brown and the other guy stepping up. I'm a little concerned about Dallas Goedert because behind him, I don't know who's the backup tight end. But
Tyree Jackson.
Okay.
Who got hurt last year. But, they loved him in camp. Me, personally, I would have kept Zach Ertz, but
I think so, too.
At that point in time last year, Howie didn't realize, that, Sirianni was going to change it up and run the ball for 8-9 straight weeks and be the number one rushing team.
And when you think about it, his first game in Arizona, he had like 7 catches for 100+ yards or something like that when Zach Ertz first went out there.
I've said before, and I said it all last year, and Fuji knows this. When the Eagles run the football, they're effective, and it opens everything else up. But for some odd reason, the last couple of years, the Eagles have gotten away from the run game, and I don't know why. Because like last year, I think it was through the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, the Eagles were top 5 in rush attempts and attempts per carry, and then they got away from it. So Hurts has all these weapons, but how is Sirianni going to balance the equation now?
Well, it's right. Well, matter of fact, to piggyback on what you're saying, Ryan, 2 years ago you said this, or last year, that when Doug Peterson was the head coach, Miles Sanders was averaging 5 yards per carry with the running game, and just they got away from him. They got away from the running game, and then the whole debacle with Wentz, and then Jalen Hurts taking over the last 4 games, and just became a dumpster fire. But to me, Miles Sanders is on a contract year, and also, he's missed 12 games the last 2 years, and Boston Scott, giant killer, like Darren Sproles 2.0, Kenny Gainwell. I don't think he really got a shot last year. Jordan Howard stepped in, but of course, he got hurt. He's still out there, in the free agent market. But I think this team just needs to go out and get another back that's, going to complement Miles Sanders, because you don't know if he is, just to what you were saying, Ryan. You don't know with all these weapons that Jalen Hurts now, especially now that Nick Sirianni turned the playbook over last season to Sean Steichen,
Mm-hmm.
the offensive coordinator. So now, you got all these toys to play with, and what are you going to do? You're going to run the ball, or you're going to sling it?
Well, I would ask Chris this, because I've been asking every Philadelphia pundit this question for the last couple months, especially with the offseason. If Jalen Hurts cannot perform with this lineup, should the Eagles move on from him after this year?
Yes. Yeah. It's, I mean, his rookie season, and then his full season. Now he's in his second year. For the first time in his career, I think he's in his second year with the same head coach or something like that. And he's supposedly making strides, but you can't make some of the same mistakes he made, especially in that playoff game, which was really, really bad. This is a make or break year for Jalen, especially with the weapons around him. But to speak to Fuji's point, I'm more interested to see what Jonathan Gannon does with the new weapons he has.
All right.
Because this team goes with the defense.
Well, you have a 4-3, but apparently they're going to be playing switching to a 3-4, and Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Derek Barnett coming back, Brandon Grant coming off the Achilles. They picked up Kazir White from the Chargers to play linebacker. Kyron Johnson, they drafted out of Kansas. So, Milton Williams, Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox. It's going to be, you got Bradbury and Big Play Slay on the corners. So, and let's not forget about hometown player from Camden, Hassan Reddick. So,
So
this defense, this front seven is going to be monstrous. We're going to be smacking redheaded stepchild down there in Washington, and Dak in Dallas, and Danny.
I think that was the cleanup version, wasn't
up
it?
north, and we're just going to be smacking this division around.
So
I'm not saying we're going to win it, but we're right there with Dallas. So,
Which I got a question for you. Apparently,
fire away. You can be the host. I'll just
whatever Angel's doing, he's not focusing on that because he wants me to ask you
about
Howie and TB12 tattoo.
I have no.
Is this fake news?
Jokes.
Is that what that is?
No, I have no TV. You know about him with the Tom Brady bromance, as far as knowing his public relations guy, knowing where Tom Brady's living with the TB12 jersey in
the. He censored himself.
Actually, my pen hit the microphone cord.
So the Eagles are going to a 3-4. Is that what you said?
I don't know if they're fully going to a 3-4, but they're still going to mix and match defenses. I mean, I believe they still may play a little 4-3, but on some packages they might go to a 3-4 with all the hybrid. Like I said, Hassan Reddick, Kyron Johnson. They probably could play Nakobe Dean up at the line as well. So,
well, I would be interested to see if they would start Cox and Davis side by side in the interior.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see them blow some stuff up.
Apparently, they were saying Jordan Davis is supposed to be the nose tackle. So, he's going to be right there in the front, middle of the trenches.
I mean, you would have two space eaters to let everybody run free. I mean, the amount of space that Cox and Davis would take up on the interior to let everybody else run free. That's what I would
don't forget Javon Hargrave played for Pittsburgh, and they're a 3-4. Mm-hmm. So that's right up his alley to collapse out the pocket. And Hassan Reddick, 23.5 sacks the last 2 years. That guy's on a mission. I mean, now you're getting me jacked.
I see.
I love
Chris, what do you think about and I said the firing of Joe Girardi wouldn't make a bit of difference. But I'm wrong. They're on a 7-game winning streak. I don't know if they can sustain it or not, but
it's a long season.
it would. I'm actually kind of shocked that just by firing Joe, that they've gone in this 7-game winning streak. It's almost like the team is glad, or the players are glad that he's
out
of the equation now.
They're earlier in the week, I guess, after they, Sunday was fortunate to be at that great comeback. Said, Bryce Harper kind of didn't directly take a shot at Joe Girardi, but he's like, the young guys here got to play like Bryson Stott, Alec Baum, Moniak, and apparently, I guess Joe lost the locker room, and like the last couple, like since the beginning of the year, it's like Girardi was just like a zombie. Like I know Anthony Gargano last week was calling him Zombie Joe. Like there was just no life in this team.
He was very laid back. Yeah.
And the funny thing is they talked about when they did this interview process, when they hired Girardi, they interviewed Dusty Baker, who's all, taking names in Houston, and also with Buck Showalter, especially, the best record in the National League as of right now, and they're doing it without DeGrom and Max Scherzer. So,
did it ever get so bad that you long for the days of Gabe Kapler?
I just, what, I'll say this with baseball, I'm a throwback guy. I'm like old school as far as stealing bases, dropping a bunt, hit and run.
Yeah.
I can't deal with all this analytics garbage. You know what you can do with it? Go in the bathroom, throw it down the toilet, and flush it out to sea. Bye-bye. Just, it's not about home runs. It's getting on base and the ESPN reels and everybody being hitting, jacking out homers. It's a joke. When did years ago, when did a starting pitcher go 4 or 5 innings? Some guys went 6, 7, maybe 8 deep. These pitch counts are a disgrace. These athletes are supposed to be better. I mean, back in the day, they were Bob Gibson, Steve Carton were horses.
Yeah. I think Wheeler only went 4 innings today, didn't he?
No, I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to look at the box score, but that's another. Here's my thing of it with as far as Torrey getting fired. I mean, you got to blame the players. I mean, these guys are millions of dollars. They've been in a lot of them are veterans. How to come to play, come to work every day. Also, you got to blame Dombrowski because, he brought in Familia for like $6 million. Brad Hand. There's a couple of these guys that are in the bullpen that shouldn't even be in the major leagues. So, it's great. It's a 7-game winning streak, but there's enough blame to go all around. But Bryce Harper's playing out of his mind. He's the MV3. He's putting his team on his back, and he's showing that clubhouse who's boss.
That's true. And even Kyle Schwarber, I think he's hitting like 350 over the last 7 games. So his bat is heating up.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the 180s, 190s the last couple weeks. Why is the guy leading off? Without a legitimate center fielder and a legitimate leadoff hitter, hey, just let's enjoy the ride for now.
The Phillies had to do something, I guess, making the change because the Mets. I mean, the Mets were starting to run away with the division.
Yeah,
the Mets have come back a little bit, but you're still waiting for the Mets to implode because usually that's what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years. Something has happened. They've imploded. But I just think the Phillies. I mean, the Braves are starting to catch fire again.
I mean, the good thing of it is right now the Phillies have already. How many times have they played the Mets? About 12 times.
Something like that.
I mean,
I think they're like 3-9 in those 12 games or something terrible.
Yeah, but they don't see the Mets till like August, so it's like, all right, get it out of the way now. But come August, it could be a totally different picture.
Yeah.
If the Phillies are playing like this, going the next couple months, I mean, you figure the trade deadline's July 31st, which that'll be here before you know it.
Are we thinking Red October? Are we getting excited for Red October? Is that what's happening?
Hey, why not? The sky's the limit. I know it's cliche, but hey, you know what? The most high prolific manager is not always the best. A guy like Joe Girardi. I mean, if we had Mariano Rivera too, we probably would have won. I mean, look at the lineup they had in 2009.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could sit there in the dugout and make all these different managerial moves and sit back and bring in number 42 to shut the door. The best closer of all time. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. You want to touch on the Sixers or get right to the NBA Finals?
No, we got to talk about this Sixers team. This team.
Time's yours.
Man, I mean, I don't get it. I'm not on the trade Joel bandwagon just yet, but I'm getting pretty close. I'm tired of him. Every time I see him, he's lying on the floor. I don't get it. But I also do not like Doc Rivers. I've never liked Doc Rivers as a head coach. Just not being able to perform. I mean, so I could coach a team through a 3-1 lead, I feel like. But this offseason, you got to find out what you're going to do with Tobias. I know that the Nets waived that first-round draft pick that we have, so maybe we can package something. I don't want to see a Bradley Beal here. I do like the growth of Maxey, but this is a make-or-break year for me as a fan. This second-round stuff is not exciting. Last year against Atlanta, and again this year, it was just this team was very, very frustrating.
Right.
And to show up the way they did in Game 7, cry me a river. You didn't leave it all on the floor. It was very infuriating. And I was listening to Sports Talk Radio, and they were blaming, there was no life in the building. I'm like, we feed off of your energy. They came out lifeless, and we did all we could to get them started. But they were ready for Cancun, and it felt like it. It felt like it.
See, I would disagree. I would say the Harden experiment failed.
Oh my God.
He is not the player, and I said this even before the trade, and then when he got there. Everybody knows if you got a serious hamstring injury, it takes forever to heal, even with physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell he was limited in what he was doing. So he wasn't letting on how bad he was probably actually hurt. But I think, Embiid and Bradley Beal get along. I mean, they're best of friends, practically.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they would swing it Harden for Beal, or you make the swap, or you put something else in. If they they're already bringing Doc back. They're probably going to bring Harden back. The problem is the depth. They don't have the depth on the bench. So they leave it all to their starting five. Their starting five has to do the damage because the bench, they stink.
Yeah.
They just flat out stink. And that's where they got into trouble. And I know they traded Simmons to the Nets and Harden, and they gave blah, 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 blah. They gave up too much to get Harden. They gave up too much depth to get Harden.
And Seth Curry and not Draymond Green, Drummond. That was the depth. I knew when Danny Green went down, the series was over. The fact that I was counting on Danny Green, to win this series was alarming to me. So.
If I stand correct, Drummond's a free agent, unrestricted, and I'm not sure if Seth Curry has 1 year left on his deal. But it's Simmons had to go. In retrospect, would I have done the deal? Yeah, of course, because Benji had to get out of town. But the thing of it is you get Beal. That's another point guard. So now you got, depending if you I would not throw Maxey in any trade for. If you trade for Beal, he's a point guard. I mean, what are you going to have? 2 or 3 point guards here? I mean, Tobias Harris has 2 years left on his max deal. Thibault is probably going to be a main piece.
Talking about someone that dropped off, he just disappeared in that Toronto series. It just didn't come back.
Maybe you just want to hang out with Ben Simmons. I don't know. Maybe you rub off on him.
Ryan, let me ask you, do you see, James Harden doing what he has to do as far as rehabbing over in the offseason to come back, at least some form of himself?
See, the problem I have with Harden, and I've always had with Harden, he's a great regular season player.
Yeah.
But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, he disappears. I don't know what it is. And you can't defend it anymore. You just can't. Yeah. I mean, he flourished in Oklahoma City coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was in Houston, and then he was, he's proven it other than Oklahoma City when he was younger and he was healthier, but he was surrounded by Westbrook and Durant and Kendrick Perkins, and he was sixth man of the year the one year.
Yeah.
Plug him into the starting lineup. Fantastic scorer. Iffy defense, but you get into the playoffs and the deeper they may go or the spotlight's on him and he fades. Mm-hmm. He did it with the Sixers. I wouldn't want to bring him back. I'm sorry, but the experiment failed. It just did. I just would not bring him back. I know they already said they're bringing everybody back, but Joel Embiid after they lost that series, he even said, he talked about Jimmy Butler. I would love to play with him again.
Jimmy Butler.
And my concern for the Sixers going forward is if they don't produce next year, Embiid's going to go to management and he's going to say, I've done everything you've asked me to do. I've done X, Y, and Z. We haven't reached our goal. I need a change.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Snow's the one that came out on WIP a week or two ago and said Embiid might only have, 1 or 2 or 2 seasons left with all the injuries. He's a big man. The man's been beaten up. Tore meniscus last year, had surgery, broken bones in his face a couple times. He just had the surgery done on the ligaments in his thumb a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Much more. And don't forget, he didn't play his first 2 seasons with that foot injury. So, how many more injuries, how much more can this man get beat up? And, I hate to say it, but it may come down to where you're going to have to cut bait in another year or 2 if the job doesn't get done. Because are you going to hold on to him and not be able to get anything for him? It'll be.
And
too
then
late.
you have him beside James Harden with a max contract. They won't be fun years down at the center.
At this point, Ryan, you have no choice but to bring Harden back.
You don't.
What you gave up, besides, I think Ben will be out of the league in 2 to 3 years. I hope I'm wrong and he can get his head on right.
Let it go.
Never.
He's gone.
Never.
I know he's gone, but still.
Who does this?
The fearless leader of this show.
God forbid we ever get Howie Roseman on this show.
Oh,
he won't come on here.
God forbid. Fuji would.
I don't know that guy.
Fuji would go all out, and he would.
That's a clone of me somewhere.
And you can
somebody stuck. Angel stuck my head on that body.
That's what it is.
You can sort of see the resemblance a little bit if Fuji had more hair.
What song are you singing with that passion?
That was a lip sync. Actually, you know what I was lip syncing? Michael Jackson, one of my favorite singers of all time.
Oh, absolutely. Are you guys watching NBA Finals at all?
I haven't
I'm a Celtics
seen the
fan,
last 2 games. Get out of here, you stinking fraud. Since when are
Let
you a
him say that
Celtics
on
fan?
this show.
I'm a Celtics fan because of my grandfather.
Okay.
What's the background? When
I'm
you
all
were
over it
in-
with my.
in
That's
life?
I'm the national correspondent, Fuji.
I don't give a rat's ASS what you are.
He keeps calling me a ring chaser. Like I'm a
You
pirate.
are. You like the Dallas Cow pukes and until
I used-
the old man croaks.
I told you
steps down.
before. I used to be a Cowboys fan.
Because you're a
I
fraud.
got sick and tired of
You're a
Jerry
ring
Jones's
chaser.
crap.
You chase the
They're
rings.
never going to win anything with Jerry Jones. I don't wish anything bad on the man, but until he's gone from the equation, it's just gonna be the same thing.
Keep him
every
in
year.
there for another 50 years, and
Same thing every year.
Just keep screwing it up every December.
Ryan, I'll tell you a funny story. When I finally came out to my mom, she struggled more with me as a Cowboys fan when I was younger than when I was just to give you some perspective. But no. Now I'm an Eagles fan. Like 2002, I finally drank the green juice, and I'm an Eagles fan through and through. But before, I was much younger and dumb and attracted to the star. But she told me, I struggled more when you were a Cowboys fan as a kid than when you came out.
The star.
I bleed green now.
What years were these?
Oh, this was.
Or those?
I finally came on board. I came on board 2002. That's it. I think was that the year when Joe Jurevicius, he's still running down Broad Street. Was that 02?
Yeah, after Levon Kirkle missed the tackle, I was at that game.
Frank Sinatra.
Okay. Fuji's got a photographic memory when it comes to the Philly team. I swear to God.
They were great times. Some were great, and others were terrible.
Oh,
we're still going through terrible times.
You could throw out a date to him, like October 27th, 1999, what happened that particular weekend in Eagles history.
I forget.
Be able to like off the top of his head.
That's something.
They said you were singing New York, New York.
And see, I'm all over with my teams, and there's a story behind every one. So, and if Fuji keeps calling me a ring chaser, which I'm not.
There you are. Well, you like the Celtics. All right, because your grandfather, you're still a ring chaser. You used to like the Dallas Cowboys.
Because of Roger Staubach.
And now you like Kansas City Chiefs.
They were the original Dallas Texans.
I know they were.
So
I
didn't know.
I'm a Blackhawks fan in hockey, and what am I missing? Celtics, Blackhawks, Pirates, and Blackhawks.
The Pirates, I'll give you. All the others are ring chasing teams.
So you're legit anti-Philly. Fuji was right.
Well, I have crutches for whenever if he decides to break his leg jumping off the bandwagon. I got the crutches ready for him. For all you ring chasers out there, call me up for some, and I'll order you a bunch of crutches.
Wow. A free Howie Roseman T-shirt.
You're calling. You beat a dead horse. You killed a dozen Clydesdales already.
We did punch a horse in the parade, so that analogy worked.
I love horses. My daughter used to ride horses, doing equestrian. How, I don't know, but I give her all the credit because she was about 6 years old, but that's a story for another time. I know I couldn't do it. I wouldn't get up on no horse. Hell no.
It's terrifying. I've done it. I don't want to do it again. Mm-mm.
So, Chris, again, if you could touch on the website where anybody who would like to possibly join the Greater Flag Football League of Philadelphia.
Yes. PhillyFlagFootball.com. We will have up-to-date information. Our fall season is coming up quicker than I'd like. But in between then, we have a couple of skills days. So if you're just passionate about football and want to learn the game, come check us out on our skills day. We're going over passing drills, defensive assignments, simple flag pulling drills. You'll have an understanding of the game to make you comfortable enough to be on the field with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, and literally everybody's welcome. We have people 50 plus in our league. We have people as young as 18, 19. So it's all are welcome.
Ryan, there you go. You can dust off the old cleats and
My
Get your old
emergency room,
rusty ass out
my
there.
emergency room deductible is too much, man.
Get your old rusty ass out there on the field.
No, I wouldn't.
You
I'd
can
be.
go out there like Polk High, number 33, Al Bundy.
I'd run 10 feet and I'd fall over.
On purpose.
Before we close out the show tonight, we'd like to bring up our great sponsors that we have. First of all, Tampa Joe's down there in Tampa Joe's Restaurant and Bar. I do not know the address, but Mike Klein, who's the head of Philly of the South for the 26th year. If you're ever in Tampa, right by the airport there, stop by Tampa Joe's. Mike, I know Mike Klein. Anyway, Philly, Tampa of the South. Check out Mike Klein, and he's in his 26th year running. Philly of the South, Tampa Joe's is the headquarters of the Eagles fan club there. Also, LG Direct Business Solutions. Larry, give Larry a call at 855-777-3863 with www.lgdirect.net. Also, the official sponsor of Philly Sports Trips. Call Vince. Go to Philly Sports Trips now for all your Philly travel sports trip needs. Vince will take care of you. The best in the business. Vince and Bob Cavanaugh with Cavs Catering. The best before you go anywhere else, go to Vince and Philly Sports Trips for all your Eagles. Couple Phillies trips coming up. And of course, I keep getting my wagon broke by this. But anyway, we want to thank Chris for coming on.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Have you back soon. Yeah, right before Eagles season. Hey,
I'm ready.
It's only about 48 days of training camp.
You got his numbers.
Also,
he's like Rain Man with the football. 48 days.
I had it down.
48 days of football.
Want to thank our fearless leader behind the glass tonight, our national correspondent Ryan F. I'm Mike Fuji. We appreciate everybody tuning in stateside around the world. We'll see you next Tuesday, 8:00 sharp. Thank you again, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe weekend and go Birds.